quick little disclaimer before we dive into this. If you haven't fully played through Age of Calamity yet, or you don't want to see every character, I suggest coming back to this video later. After that quick spoiler warning, let's get into this. Remote bombs. Made with the power of the Sheikah Slate, they are very useful in Age of Calamity against your enemies. But what is the best way to use them? All of the characters have different ways of attacking using the remote bombs, and surely some are better than others. But whose is the best? Today, I'll be trying to figure that out using math. To make things simple, I've divided it up into 3 categories. 1. The use against multiple enemies. 2. The use against one enemy. And lastly, a category I like to call Flair. Let's put each character to the test to see who comes out on top. Category 1. To calculate this, I used each player's remote bomb attack 5 separate times on enemies of the same strength and calculated the average. During this experiment, I fought in the Mastering Remote Bombs battle in normal mode. The only enemies I attacked were red bokoblins. Here is the list of the characters' total KOs after 5 attacks, and their average KOs per attack. Sidon won this round with his average of 44.5 KOs per remote bomb attack. After Sidon is Daruk, if you count the magma pillars that spawn after using a remote bomb as part of the attack, with an average of 39. If you don't, Daruk is much further down the list. In descending order from them, we have Mipha with a 36 average, Impa and the Great Fairies with 34, Teriko and Calamity Ganon with 32.5, and then Revali and Master Koga with an average of 30. Next is Link with his average of 29. After this, Hestu is a tricky one like Daruk, because if he has Koroks following him, they spawn their own little remote bombs and add to his attack. Counting that, Hestu has an average of 28, and so does King Rome. Following them is Zelda, using the Sheikah Slate, with an average of 27, Yunobo with 26.5, and then, if you don't count Daruk's pillars as part of the attack, the Goron falls with a 24 average. Following him is Hestu again with 22.5 if he doesn't have the Koroks around to help him. After this is Urbosa with 22, and Monkmouth Koshio with 20.5. Finally, we have Richu with an average of only 20, Zelda using the Bow of Light with 18, and then Teba, who only KOs an average of 16 enemies with each remote bomb attack. Category 2. This category was a little harder to calculate. I decided to factor in speed, range, and whether or not you can keep attacking while your remote bombs are still doing damage. Only 4 characters can attack while their remote bombs are detonating. First is Zelda with the Sheikah Slate as she loses a bomb-spitting robot against her foe. Then Teriko, who launches 4 bombs. If you don't move, he'll shoot them with a laser, but if you'd rather attack yourself, you have to stop him from completing the attack. Monkmouth Koshio drops a single remote bomb, and before it detonates, you can go and attack. Finally, as Mipha rains her remote bombs down, you can attack. Some characters can start attacking after a certain point in their move. Impa can't move until the bomb is fired into the air, but once it starts falling, she can attack before it detonates. The other characters where this happens are Zelda when equipped with the Bow of Light, Daruk, and King Rome. The Great Fairies can also stop their attack at any time if they choose by pressing the B button to escape it. Every other character is unable to move until their attack is complete. The only other moves with something unique to them are Urbosa and Riju's attacks. They both use the explosion to launch themselves into the air to take an advantage against the foes below them. Here are all the character speeds for the remote bomb attacks. Don't worry about the area of just text, I'm going to zoom into that part in a minute. We'll start with the longest attack, Zelda's. You can move on your own as the bomb robot moves around, but on its own the attack lasts for around 7.5 seconds. Next is Sidon's attack, which is 6.8 seconds long. The Great Fairy's attack lasts for almost 6 seconds, but you can stop the attack at any time. Next we have the characters whose attacks last around the same time. Link's attack lasts around 4.2 seconds, and you can't stop attacking at any point in that attack. Next we have Mipha, with 3.8 seconds, but you can move during her attack. Next, Impa and Yunobo's attack lasts for 3.5 seconds, but with Yunobo's you may need to take a little more time to aim. Then, Master Koga and Zelda, equipped with the Bow of Light, both have an attack that lasts around 3.4 seconds. Following them is Revali with 3.2 seconds, and Teriko with 3. Next is Hestu with 2.8 seconds, but if the Koroks are helping him, the attack lasts just a little bit longer, closer to 3 seconds. Then it's Teba with an attack time of about 2.7. Finally, in this little zoom section are Calamity Ganon, Daruk, Urbosa, and Richu, who all have an attack that lasts around 2.5 seconds. We'll zoom back out again for the last 2 characters. King Rome's attack is very close to 2.3 seconds, and then Monk Mascotia has the fastest attack, which only lasts 1.5 seconds. Factoring in the range, speed, and movement of the characters, the results are as follows. Some characters got moved higher than they were on the speed list because they can move during their attacks and attack on their own. Sidon lost this round since his attack takes close to 7 seconds to complete, and you can't move at all during his attack. Monk Mascotia won due to his attack only taking 1.5 seconds to complete. Moving on to the final category, and by far my favorite one, Flare. Characters get a rating of 1 to 10 depending on how cool the remote bomb attack looks. For example, Link's is super boring, so he only gets a 1. Urbosa stylishly uses the explosion to launch herself into the air, so she gets a 9. I've already explained that the two Gerudo women's moves are similar and spectacular, so their placement is obvious. As for Master Koga's move, I really like the personality the voice actor adds to the character, and the ba-boom is enough to get this attack as high as it went.
Ready? Ba-boom!
Mipha's move really reflects on her being Zora, as it almost looks like the bombs are raining down. Yunobo's move is a clever way of utilizing the Goron's rolling ability to attack with the bombs. Revali makes good use of the wind to his advantage. The Great Fairies are essentially an endless spout of remote bombs. Teriko uses his laser to detonate the bombs, and Zelda makes a very interesting robot to shoot remote bombs as she continues attacking her enemies. King Rome has a move much like Daruk's, splitting one bomb into many smaller ones. Sidon's attack is a clever way to use his spear to get more distance with the bombs. Zelda uses her powers after the bombs detonate for extra damage. Daruk splits one bomb into multiple and creates magma pillars after the explosions. Teba uses his bow to get more range with the bombs. Impa sends a remote bomb into the air, along with some of her enemies, for added damage. Calamity Ganon's is a bit mediocre. You would expect more than just a couple bombs from someone who threatens the entire kingdom of Hyrule time and time again. Monk Mascotia's is just as lame for someone who offers the final trial for the hero of Hyrule. Hestu's is almost as bad as Link's, but he sometimes has cute little Koroks to help him with it, so that puts him up a little bit higher. Finally, why Link's attack is on the bottom is pretty self-explanatory. Here are the final results. The results were calculated by taking the characters' placements in each category and adding them up together. Whoever had the lowest score won, like in golf. For example, Link was 10th in the first category, so he got 10 points in that round. With 18 and 19 points in the other two rounds, he accumulated a total of 47 points, the most points out of anyone, and came in last place. Here is every character's final placement. If you count Daruk's magma pillars as part of his remote bomb attack, he wins. If you're like me and think that anything added to the attack that isn't automatic doesn't count, all you'd have to do to figure out the character's placement is subtract 1 from it. That being said, next on the list is Mipha, whose flair and ability to move during her attack puts her above the rest, and she also KOs a decent amount of enemies with every attack. I'll move quickly through the rest of them as they're all pretty self-explanatory if you look at all the data. Teriko came in 3rd, followed by Urbosa, then King Rome. Next are Master Koga, Revali, and then Riju. The Great Fairies came in 9th, followed by the Calamity Ganon in 10th. Zelda, equipped with the Sheikah Slate, does quite well, making it to 11th place. Next is Sidon, Daruk if you don't count the magma as part of the attack, and Impa. Then we have Yunobo, Monk Mascotia, and Hestu if he attacks alongside the Koroks. Following him is Teba, and then Hestu's back again if he attacks alone. After him is Zelda using the Bow of Light in 20th, and finally Link in 21st place. I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect Link to do well. His attack takes a while and is pretty boring, but I also didn't expect for him to wind up in dead last. The math doesn't lie, so I guess his attack with remote bombs is a little worse than I thought it was. I actually had a lot of fun making this video, and I'm thinking of making it into a series, where I analyze each of the attacks using the Sheikah Slate runes and Age of Calamity, including Stasis and Cryonis. Please comment below what you thought of this video, and if you were surprised by some of the results. Thank you for watching, and have a spectacular rest of your day.